Well, Perth's had a bit of rain over the last 24 hours, a little bit of rain, not much at all, but it'll help keep the moisture in the ground for crops like this. So today I want to talk to you about green manure, why it's so good, what are the benefits, and why in the next couple of months you should be thinking about putting any bare ground towards crops like this. So this is a nice growth of alfalfa, sown back in July, starting to get away and bulk up a little bit now. Probably sown a little bit too thick in the ground, but hey ho, not really a problem. It's all helping to subdue the weeds. Nature hates bare soil, so it will try and cover it as best it can, and we don't want stuff like bindweed to grow away, and there is a little bit here. That's going to be weeded out, of course, but basically what you're looking to do is cover the ground so that weeds don't grow because they have a lack of light. Once this bulks up, it will do that job. Alfalfa will also fix nitrogen. I'll cover that bit off a little bit later on, and obviously the green material can be dug in later on if you so wish, or in my case smothered with material and the worms take it in, because I do no dig, but that is completely your choice. This is just basically promoting the actual growth of green manure. You will get weeds in amongst it, but a tiny little weed out and it's all gone. So as we enter into mid-August, what can grow? Well, I've come up with a really basic sowing chart that I use. This is my little area that I guide myself on. I tend to stick to the legumes. I'll tell you why later on. I tend to stay away from brassicas because I have clubroot on my plots. So let's cut to the chase. Why are we bothering? Why not just apply a lot of manure and compost? Well, this is head of greyhound. This bed has been grown exclusively after field beans were grown over winter. Chopped and dropped, and then these plants were planted in with no additional compost, no additional fertilizers, just green manure. There's plenty of heads in here that are of a good size. These here are greyhound. This is a variety called Kiloton that will start to crop in about a month's time. They're not really due until autumn, but you can see the size of the heads already, the health of the crop. Very, very good. No additional compost used in these. I did in this little section here, I did put compost just to see if there was a real difference in production. There isn't really. They're all roughly the same state. So this gives you a good guide as to why the hell you should grow green manure. So back to the chart again, just to show you that we'll be covering winter tares next and their advantages. This will be the next crop to be sown in our yearly schedule, and they will produce exactly the same results as the field beans in the last clip, and then I'll cover field beans after that. This is how winter tares will end up looking around about February, with a nice little growth. They need that early sowing to put in a bit of bulk, so they end up looking like this. This is perfect for smothering because of the small stem size. I'll cover smothering later on. Okay. This is the typical roots of winter tares. You see the little nodules. That's the nitrogen element. That's what we're looking for in the soil. With field beans, it's exactly the same. So if we'll just dig up one here just for a bit of a show, and you can see after I've shook off the soil, all those nitrogen nodules around the roots perfect when left back in the soil. You cut the foliage off, like I'm going to show you here with the chop and drop, and all that goodness stays in the bed. You can take the foliage away if you want to, it depends on how you feel. This particular crop of field beans was the crop before the cabbages went in, so it's a nice healthy crop. And what I do there is, once all these have been chopped down, laid on the bed, it then gets covered with whatever you have at hand. I think I used old carpet for this bed. Absolutely perfect, because the worms will drag it all down into the soil as good organic matter. Fantastic. And this is what we're really aiming for. So one crop that I haven't covered yet is forage peas. They're exactly the same job as field beans and last exactly the same. Both the field beans and the peas need to be chopped and dropped or dug in, whichever you prefer, in March, April time, depending on how hard the winter is. Now then, once you've chopped and dropped the crop of field beans, you can do one of three things. You can take it away and compost the tops, you can dig it in if you really want to, or you can just smother it with a sheet of membrane, carpet, cardboard, whichever your choice is, and the worms and creatures will work their way up, drag the foliage down, it will all decompose, all add goodness to the soil. Perfect. Oh, one thing I must say as well, with field beans you can take off the tips of the shoots all winter and eat them as a salad. They really are as good as a salad ingredient. So it's not only a green manure crop, but it's also food for the cold months as well. There is one myth I would like to dispel. It's nothing to do with what you're looking at now, that's just a background video. If you're cropping runner beans, broad beans, peas, they're all nitrogen fixers, but if they seed, they will use that nitrogen resource in the soil for themselves. There will be nothing left to pass on onto the next crop. That is one myth that really needs to be busted here and now. Going back to the little chart again, one last time I promise. So you can sow ryegrasses now, but personally, without them being nitrogen fixing, I'm not going to bother. You're just adding it for the organic matter. This leaves me with one further dimension that we must address, but it's too late for this year, and it's undersowing. So this is my crop of sweet corn as it stands right now, and I've undersown with white clover. It does the sweet corn no good, and it does no harm either. But what it does is it gets the crop established and growing, so that when I chop down the sweet corn, which is probably not for another couple of weeks, the clover will be there growing away and take over immediately without having to go into the cooler months trying to get established. So that's one tactic that I know it's too late for this year, but you can bear in mind for other years. Clover is another nitrogen fixer. It produces less bulk than the other ones that I mentioned so far, but it's another consideration. It grows very well in the shade of the sweet corn, as you can see here. This particular bed has been really well mulched with good quality compost, and it's time I covered the sweet corn because the squirrels are going to have them otherwise, so I must do that next week. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next clip. So until then, bye for now.